Hey guys, how's it going? And happy Friday. I hope you all are doing good. And I hope you all stay warm because we're getting a mega cold snap coming in. It's going to be like 40 degrees tonight in Michigan, and it's going to be down to about -6 where I'm at about 48 hours after that. So stay warm. And if you look at the title, it says, is the 2A needed anymore? Well, my first answer is yeah, obviously, like more than it ever has before. But I'm not so sure everybody agrees. No, I'm not just talking about the Brady organization and Moms Demand Action and all of those, because of course they don't agree. But a lot of my gun friends, a lot of my 2A friends are kind of getting a little ho-hum about it lately. So I have some questions, and I think it'll be interesting for us to talk about that together. Also, I've been doing a mega deep dive behind the scenes here in Michigan for over a week now. You haven't seen a video from me yet because I know, like, if it leads, it bleeds, and you're supposed to get something out right away. But I want to get you guys some information that actually has some meat on the bone. And I've been doing a deep dive, and I'll start off with this, and we'll talk to it more about it in just a little bit. I'm trying to figure out exactly what the status of this is from this last session, Michigan House Bill 5450. Along with Michigan House Bill 6144 and the substitute for 6145, and about 88 other bills as well. Now, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you're like, well, hold on to AEDU. You already told us when these passed each chamber. Yeah, I did. Well, you also told us you're thinking that these were presented to the governor for her to sign, and she has 14 days to sign. Well, yeah, I did that video also. Just not so sure about these House bills, and I'm looking for House Journal 90, which is supposed to contain the presentment to the governor, and it's kind of a little bit of rabbit hole, and I think something's not quite right that's going on. I mean, obviously something's not right if they're passing gun control laws, because in a country where the supreme law of the land says a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And we say this every week because it's very important, and you all need to remember that. If there were to even be one gun control law in this whole entire country, let alone in the state of Michigan or wherever your home state is, that would be repugnant to the Constitution. And if you look back at Marbury v. Madison, 1803 Supreme Court precedent, it should be void. But yet here we are. And it's not a matter of if they're passing more gun control in states like Michigan, at least the last couple of years, and many other states right now. It's how many are they going to pass? So, yeah, definitely not right that we're even talking about gun control. Totally repugnant to the Constitution, and it kind of makes me sick. It makes me pretty frustrating that there should even have to be a channel called 2A EDU. Like, if you're an American and you want to be free at all, and you even have a remote concept of what liberty is supposed to be. And I'm going to go and say this. It might be a little bold, but I mean it. If you think you even deserve to live in this country, you should already know what the Second Amendment is. And everybody in the whole country should know what the Second Amendment is. And they should know the clear directive that it simply says shall not be infringed at the end. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. But, yeah, I find it kind of troubling and find it kind of sad that there still is gun control that exists and that it's still passing. But even if you look at it from that frame, there's still something weird going on with these House bills in Michigan. This is gun control that has just passed, and they say it's been sent to the governor. I'm just not quite sure. So anyways, I hope all of you are doing good. And before we get going on all of this, I want to thank all of you for the many ways you help support the channel. Thank you for those of you who leave super chats while we're live. That's you being a sponsor of this show, and I will read all of those tonight. Also, thanks to all of my YouTube channel members, where you get access to extra emojis as well as extra content. And the same thing goes for my Patreon supporters and all of my supporters on Locals. Now, Locals is a different site, censorship free, where I do an extra weekly live stream over there where we touch guns and do all kinds of stuff that we just can't do here on YouTube. So make sure you're checking me out there, as well as their sister site. It's owned by the same company now that rhymes with Fumble. And I'm also on X and Myriad.social. Myriad Social, it's not only censorship free, but it's an uncensorable platform since it's on the blockchain. So no centralized servers, no big tech, and you can find links to all of that down there in the description. Now, Monday, it's a pretty big deal for a lot of people. Some people are celebrating it as a holiday. A lot of people are celebrating Monday as Inauguration Day. January 20th, right? Donald J. Trump will presumably, hey, a lot of people are crossing their fingers. A lot of people are praying. Look, presumably he will be sworn in and take the oath to become the 47th president of the United States. And I wish him well, so far as I wish the Second Amendment well. But see, Trump's like a lot of things. He's neither all good nor is he all bad, obviously. And he's certainly going to be less worse, I think, and hope. Isn't this terrible that when the guy that everybody wants to win, most of my Second Amendment supporters anyways, are huge, huge Trump supporters? And shout out to you guys. Like, make sure you celebrate like crazy this Monday, okay? Hopefully you all voted for what you want, and I hope you all get what you want, and I hope I do and all of us do. But it's kind of sad when Kamala, do you guys remember? Look, she doesn't know how to pronounce her own name. None of these people even know how to pronounce their own name. These people are sick. These are not good people. But yeah, she would have clearly been like the worst ever for the Second Amendment, obviously. And no doubt Trump's going to be less worse, and I hope he's like completely awesome on the Second Amendment. But it sucks when like your guy wins, right? I'm not saying he's really like my guy, but a lot of you guys are in the same boat where you're like, well, he's probably the lesser of two evils. Maybe he's changed. Hopefully he's done better. And I really hope he's changed a lot on the Second Amendment. And I hope he's going to do a lot better. But it's still a little bit frustrating, isn't it? And a little bit sad that you have to sit there and say, I hope when Trump gets in office, he doesn't try to like ban something via executive order like right away. I hope he doesn't call for red flag laws again. Like, we don't need another version of the bump stock ban. So we'll see. But I hope the 20th is a good day. And look, I try to do both. And I know it's like really, really hard to do. And it's hard for me to do too. But you have to like call out people for what they are. And I'm being totally honest and frank with all of you right now. I have reservations about Trump. Well, let me be a little more honest. I'm actually a little bit scared of Trump coming in for the Second Amendment. And I think that is founded on, past facts and precedent. But at the same time, I am trying to be optimistic. I'm really, really hoping. He got shot literally in the ear. That close. That close. He was within millimeters, some people say. A very small fraction of an inch of dying. Shot at other times. They've literally tried to take his life several times fairly recently, haven't they? And I never heard him come out and say that he wanted to ban the AR-15 or the AK, which the media falsely said that there was an AK that was at his golf course, right? That the guy was ready. It was actually an SKS from all the pictures, but whatever. The media is never going to figure out the difference between the AK and the SKS. And trust me, I'm not media, so that's why I know the difference. But I didn't hear Trump call for banning anything after he literally got shot in the ear. I think it's essentially fair to say in the head, right? It doesn't get much closer to your brain than that, does it? I was kind of sitting there. First of all, I'm like, is he okay? Because like that would be horrifying for someone, the front runner for the president of the United States, which ended up winning the election, right? So clearly the person that, look, there's a national mandate right now behind Trump, swept all the swing states. The House kept its minority or very narrow majority Republican. The Senate flipped to Republican. we came within less than an inch of possible catastrophe. But it seemed like also after the dust settled from that, I'm like, oh, geez, is he going to get out and do a press conference saying, I was shot, I almost died from AR-15, but I didn't, so now we need to ban it. He didn't do that. So we will see what happens. I don't know. I'm not, I'm very, very, very cautiously trying to be optimistic because we need things to get better than they are right now. A heck of a lot better. The economy is completely in the toilet. I don't know about you guys, but I own a very small business and materials are skyrocketing. Some customers can't even afford to pay at all sometimes, and sometimes they kind of can and not promptly in many cases. And it's been snowing a ton lately, and I've been out salting every night and working my butt off, and the harder I work, the poorer I'm getting. And I think that's hitting close to home to a lot of people right now. The economy is completely and utterly in the toilet. And it's kind of weird, though, because it seems that when people get down on their luck and other things, their vigilance for the Second Amendment can tend to fade a little bit. The poorer people get, the more downtrodden they get. It seems like there becomes less enthusiasm to be a 2A activist. It seems like it's harder to get people to come to the state capitol. It seems like it's harder to get people to write. It's harder to get people to call. It's harder to get people to do much of anything. It's kind of like, man, life sucks. So I just want to crawl in a hole is what a lot of people are saying. And it's weird because for every person I talk to like that, and I've been talking to a lot of people like that, it's like, dude, let's do something about this. Let's get in there. Like in Michigan, for example, the Republicans have taken the majority back in the Michigan House of Representatives. Now, I'm still very cautious about that too, because if you're new here, welcome. It's good to have you. But those of you guys who have been around for a while know I'm not like a big political party guy. I'm not like rah-rah Republicans. I don't even consider myself a Republican at all. I don't even like to be a conservative. I don't even like that term, because conserve what? Conserve the status quo? Conserve the typical Republican platform throughout this country for a long time now. Like, slow down there, Democrats. A little bit less gun control. Oh, you guys want to pass 10 gun control bills? Yeah, we'll get some of our people to vote for a couple of them, as long as you lay off the other 8. And then you guys can use that for fundraising. And then we'll use it for fundraising, saying that we blocked 8 of them. You guys heard the current former vice president talking, didn't you? In his so-called farewell speech. Yeah, farewell speech. He had no idea where he was. It doesn't matter, though, because whoever wrote that speech for him, somebody even said it was a hologram of him talking on there. I don't know. I would like to say that person's a conspiracy theorist, but who knows nowadays? Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Maybe this is just like a scary, in a real ruining our lives way, reenactment of Weekend at Bernie's. Look, that all does matter, and this is very serious, but at the same time, the current former vice president, or whatever the heck he is, he got up there and he gloated and he crowed that he said, we passed one of the strictest gun control laws in over 30 years. And they did, with some of the all-stars and some of the most supposedly beloved members of the Republican Senate. Let that sink in. From some of the most pro-Second Amendment states. Yeah. We're talking from the South, from the North, from the West, from the Midwest. There were gun grabbers in the Republican Party represented basically in all 4 corners of these United States. Some fabulous states too. You think about it, it's like the great state of Kentucky. Beautiful place, by the way. They call it the Bluegrass State, right? Bluegrass State. They're known for a bit of horse racing too. Just a little bit maybe, right? No, it's a nice place and lots of good people that live there. Mitch McConnell, the senator from Kentucky, not only voted for but brokered gun control. What about the state of Texas? John Cornyn. Now look, you can't even think of Texas without thinking of guns and the Second Amendment. And the people that I know that actually live there, like the real life people, don't mess with Texas. Don't even think about coming after a Texan's guns, But the senior senator from Texas, John Cornyn, voted for gun control. And now we've got this current former vice president crowing about it. So no, I'm not a Republican. Conservative? What the heck are we conserving? No. I believe in a constitutional republic. I believe in the founding documents, and I sure as heck believe in, look, it was written in 1789, codified as part of the Constitution in 1791, but I believe in the Second Amendment, whatever party that is. And I love the whole Bill of Rights, all of it. All 10 of the First Amendments to the U.S. Constitution, but I like the Second Amendment just a little bit more. It's just a little bit more, but I do. It is my favorite one because it wasn't put there for if, but for when. They come for all the rest. And we've noticed that as they keep passing more gun control and keep degrading away our natural God-given right to keep and bear arms, that they keep going after the First Amendment just a little bit more. Now, people often forget about the Third Amendment, but there was a time during the, what should we call it tonight? The plague, they called it. Some people even called it the Kung Flu, right? I mean, look, this thing's ruled everybody's lives. Some people are still ruling their lives today. Give me a break. But anyways, they were actually quartering soldiers in people's houses, saying, you can't evict. You can't evict, and this is from mandate of the government. Do you remember that? So they've even been treading on the Third Amendment in the last 4 years. The 4th, the 5th, the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. All of it. And I'm hearing one of two things. I'm hearing a lot of people telling me, well, things just suck so bad. I'm just too broke right now. I'm just like too whatever right now. My pocketbook hurts. My headache hurts. My whatever hurts. You know what I mean? Family-friendly channel. But a lot of full-grown men, they're ready to boogie-woogie. They're ready to go out there and do the deed. 1776 will rise again, they say. And then they're like, well, what state was giving out those free tampons? Because my whatever hurts a little bit too much right now. I'm like, geez, oh, Pete's, guys. First of all, get your balls out of your old lady's purse and stay out of the Minnesota public school bathrooms, but boys' bathrooms, if you know what I mean. I don't know. It's just this weird thing. I'm like, hey, guys, I'm on to something at the state capitol, I think, right now. Anyone want to go up there and see what's going on? Now, I've got a couple people that will. I do, actually. And they might be in the chat right now. Shout out if you guys are in there. Some of you guys are willing to go do it. Not very many. They're like, well, I'm a little bit broke right now. Dude, I'll tell you guys this. I'm literally going to go over here. I'll show it to you. It's off camera if anyone wants to call my bluff. I'm going to count quarters out of that jar to pay for the parking structure to go up to Lansing this Thursday because I'm on a mission and I think there's something going on up there. Something very spurious at best and possibly even a lot worse than that. That's definitely going to affect our Second Amendment. Do you guys know anybody like that? And I'm talking to people that are just... You know, and you guys can vent. This is a place we can vent and just talk about things. Because I'm talking to people right now. Oh, they're tough as nails, supposedly. They'll do this. They'll do that. As they're grinding out their push-ups. I'm like, hold on a minute. Sir, could you stop doing the push-ups for 5 minutes? I was telling a guy the other day. And do you mind calling the Speaker of the House his number? And inquiring about these bills? Because we need some more pressure. And they're like, hold on real quick. I have to run to one of the little boys' bathrooms in Minnesota and put a whatever in my whatever. You know what I mean? Because it just hurts too much to make a phone call. And I'm like, whoa, wow. 2 minutes later, this guy's talking about like taking people out with his pinky finger and whatever. And I'm like, oh, geez. Wow. Does anybody know anybody like that? I've been running into them all over the place lately, which is a little bit strange and a little bit weird. Now, I'm going to flip the coin real fast here because there's another type of person that I've been running into quite a bit as well. Actually, probably a little bit more. You know what I mean? A little bit more. And that's the people that are like, dude, just relax. Just relax. Trump's coming in a couple weeks. Now it's down to just a couple days. We're good. I'm like, well, I'm certainly happy that it's not Kamala. Is that how you say her name, by the way? I'm trying to be very family friendly because there's many different ways people pronounce these things, but well, I'm glad it's not Kamala getting sworn in. That's for sure. That would have been terrible. Her and Tim AWOLs, right? Some of you guys served in the military. Let's just say his service that he claimed, his rank that he said that he held. You guys remember all that? It was questioned and called out, to say the least. Questioned, I think, more than almost anybody's claimed rank that they held. Not a good thing. Not a good thing. A lot of people that served with him, pretty darn upset. And yeah, I don't blame them for being upset. I didn't even serve in the Army, and I was like super upset, right? Well, I'm glad those two clowns aren't swearing in, but at the same time, people are telling me, dude, when Trump gets in office, all this Michigan gun control is gone on day one. I'm like, do I need to go find that old video? I forget, when was it made, like in the 50s or 60s? I'm just a bill on Capitol Hill, and it's like a cartoon, and it has a corny song. I'd sing it for you all, and you would love my rendition of it, but I'd probably get like a copyright strike if I actually sang it. So I won't. I'll spare you guys my voice. Tell me the truth, guys. Do you think there's anybody out there? And if you're in the chat, go ahead and say so, because this is called 2A EDU for a reason. I'll try to help educate you, but no, come on, guys. I know you guys are pretty smart that are hanging out here tonight. I see lots of good people in the chat right now. You really think there's adults that are like big Second Amendment supporters? And do you think they like truly believe that by Trump literally getting elected, all federal and then state level gun control goes away on day one? Does anybody think that? No, I wouldn't think it'd be possible for anybody to actually think that, except for I've been running into a lot of people in the comment sections here on YouTube, sending me messages other places. 2A EDU, you're fear-mongering. I'm like, about what? Gun control just passed in Michigan, okay? The ATF had just come out and said, well, now we believe all pistols with braces are SBRs, and then they walked it back a few days later. I wanted to report that to you guys. They have walked that back now and said, well, maybe not. We don't know what's going on. Where am I? We don't know. So, but it's like, But yeah, man, I literally have people telling me, they're like, no, you don't understand. Trump's getting sworn in on the 20th. Like, we're good now. I'm like, good for what? And they're like, well, we can just tap out for a little bit. I'm like, tap out from what? What did you do to begin with? And they're like, dude, like, enough's enough. Like, we don't need to keep talking about the Second Amendment because we've got Trump. The words are used like he will instantly nullify all gun control in the state of Michigan. I'm like, whoa. Maybe my friends that say that don't have a clear understanding of the 10th Amendment, all right? Maybe they don't have a clear understanding of the 10th Amendment, because I would actually fear the day where a president could come in just unilaterally and serve as the governor of all 50 states, actually. Now, with the Second Amendment, this should literally be not even a conversation. And I do believe anyone that signs a gun control bill into law or actually votes for it's a criminal. So if Trump was to come in and have his DOJ start prosecuting everybody who's ever voted for a gun control bill or signed it into law and said, you've broken the supreme law of the land of the Constitution, and whatever crime they'd have to file that under, if they were literally putting all these people in jail that are breaking the supreme law of the land, I'd be totally fine with that. That would actually be equal justice under the law. Because if somebody like me or somebody like you breaks a law, we have to pay the price for it. You break a firearms law, look out. You'll probably be prohibited the rest of your life unless you got a lot of money and a really good lawyer. So yeah, if he's going to instantly go prosecute all these people and put them all in jail that ever broke the Constitution, I mean, that should be a crime, right? If you break the supreme law of the land, I'm all fine with that. But it actually is like super, super scary to even think of the notion that there's people that supposedly love the Constitution that want, like more than anything, for Trump to come in and lord over all 50 states. No. See, there is no such thing as states' rights. People often think that the 10th Amendment is the states' rights amendment. And they'll quote from it saying, it's the rights of the states. Well, you actually should read something before quoting it, right? Well, it doesn't say rights at all in the 10th Amendment. It talks about powers that are delegated. Because people have rights. People have certain unalienable rights. And all of our rights are endowed by our Creator. And these are the laws of nature and of nature's God. That's literally what Thomas Jefferson wrote, and the Founding Fathers pinned their name to when they declared their independence from the King of England. Rights are inherent to people. Rights supersede any government. Natural rights existed before the United States, during the United States, and they'll still actually exist afterwards. But the United States was put here literally for no reason at all other than to protect and defend our natural, constitutionally protected rights. And that's why there's a watered-down version of that still in the oath that they all take today. But it says that except the powers that are very specifically enumerated within the Constitution. We're talking about the 10th Amendment. I'm not reading for it. I'm summarizing right now. But except for these, it's a very short list, if you look at it. Except for the very short list of powers that are enumerated, meaning literally written down with the quill to the paper, right, to the federal government. The rest of these powers are going to belong to the states and respectively to the people, we the people. So the federal government is supposed to be the smallest, with the smallest amount of powers. The state governments are still supposed to be extremely small and extremely low on the power rank, but they are going to have some more power than the federal government, and then almost all of the power is supposed to reside in we the people. So for we the people to basically pawn off our powers to the president of the United States, it's a bit scary and it's a bit startling, and it might explain exactly why we're in the situation we're in, actually. And for people to take the powers that the states are supposed to have, because look, this is supposed to be the United States of America, not the unified, unilateral, totalitarian federal government. No, this isn't the solidified, unitary American government. It's supposed to be the United States of America. So it's kind of hard for me to understand how in the America that we're supposed to have and that I want to have, how Trump could possibly solve all of our problems overnight. And if he did, how unconstitutional it might actually look like. I think first and foremost, we need to solve our own problems, really. And we should all understand that right away. I think most of you are gun owners, aren't you? And I think most of us realize, and I'm trying to remind us of all of that, and not necessarily remind all of you, but remind you to remind your friends and just more people that when seconds matter, police are only minutes away, and that you are your own first responder. And that's why you carry a gun, because the police show up in many cases. Sometimes the police are completely derelict of their duties and protect the bad people and let them do harm to good people. There's horror stories, but there's some good stories where the cops did their best to get there. And they tried to come and save somebody's life, but then by the time they could get there, and just minutes away, let's just say, they usually come to write a report of what actually already happened. It's true. And it's sad. And as much as the other side likes to talk about how many lives are taken with guns each year, they literally change the age of what a child is to try to confuse you. And they've confused a lot of sheep. And I know they haven't confused you, but remind your friends yet again that guns are the leading cause of death for children. And they keep raising the age of children higher and higher and higher, where now it also includes teenagers, post-adolescents, and young adults. Swallows up all the gangbangers. Swallows up young men that are out there doing violent, evil things, using a gun for their tool, because gun violence doesn't exist. A gun's neither good nor evil. It's an inanimate object, but evil people do evil things. And while everybody agrees, literally, regardless of country, religion, whatever, if you have any moral compass about yourself at all, wherever you derive it from, everybody agrees murder's wrong. Obviously. I didn't say justifiable homicide. That's different. That's called self-defense, right? No, that's not wrong. But murder, killing somebody with wanton malice, that's already wrong, whether they use a pickup truck, whether they use a bomb, whether they use a gun, a knife. I mean, do you remember the story of Cain and Abel? Maybe some of you guys remember that story. Did Cain use a gun? I don't think so. See, people have been killed with stones way before firearms were even fathomed. And even according to current FBI statistics, more people are killed with hands and feet each year than they are rifles, let alone that even smaller subsection that the other side would like to proclaim an assault rifle. Just think about that for a minute. So what camp are you guys in? Are you in the camp of, we need to pull up our own bootstraps and we need to get united? I live in Michigan, guys. I'm literally doing some deep diving investigative journalism, even though I'm not a member of the media whatsoever. You guys will see why I'm emphasizing that in a video I'm going to be putting out any day now. Not a member of the media, but I've been doing more investigative journalism with some of these gun control bills in my pinky lately than the whole rest of the actual media combined has, because they're either too lazy or they're not smart enough or they don't want you to know the truth. One of the two. But look, if you guys want me to give you some encouragement, because I want encouragement, even though like so many things like really suck right now. I told you guys, like, I'm literally broke as a joke. The harder I work, the poorer I get right now. I know a lot of you are nodding your heads or more like shaking your heads, being like, yeah, I know. But I'm trying to be optimistic, and I'm trying to make a difference. And look, if it's Trump getting elected that gives you the moral boost you need, awesome, great, because you just got like a moral boost and you need that. Start getting out there. Try to find out where there's a 2A rally. And I'm going to talk about one happening in Michigan here in just like 1 second, because this is cool. And I like the idea of it. And it's something I'm trying to get excited about. Start calling those legislators, your representatives, your senators. Start going to your capital, whether you're in Michigan or anywhere else, because this stuff's going on everywhere. As I mentioned earlier, I see my good friend Mateo in the chat right now. And he is my good friend. And that's why I know that there's some good people that live in Kentucky, him and other people. Many other good people, actually. Look, it doesn't matter where you live, though. Your senator sold you up the river on the Second Amendment just as hard as my two Democrat senators at that time, Stabenow Peters did. You could go to the great state of South Carolina. I'm looking forward to going there, actually, in just a few months. I love the state of South Carolina, man. North Carolina, I drive through there. Awesome state. West Virginia, right? Think about it. West Virginia. Oh, Shelley Moore Capito of West Virginia. Lindsey Graham of South Carolina. Wait, Shelley Moore Capito? She's a Republican. Yeah, I know, actually. Voted for gun control. Look, you can just keep going through these states. Literally, almost heaven, West Virginia. Has anyone been there? Has anyone been to the great state of West Virginia? Now, I'll tell you two things about West Virginia that are awesome, by the way. Beautiful. The hills. Wow. The hills and the scenery is literally just to die for. And the amount of Second Amendment supporters in West Virginia, hard to find a state with many more. Higher percentage, in other words. Pretty much most people, I'm going to say almost everybody, are Second Amendment supporters in that state. Well, you guys have work to do. You do. Joe Manchin, we're talking when this bill passed 2 years ago, votes for gun control. Wow. North Carolina, check out your two Republican senators, what they've been voting on. See? It's kind of interesting, isn't it? But hopefully you guys are invigorated. And look, there's two ways to look at this. Either A, everything sucks so bad that you finally need to pull up your bootstraps and do something about it. Or B, you're just so excited and you're winning so much. Trump's getting elected. I hope a lot of you guys are like really, really looking forward to that Monday. Look, I'm looking forward to it like big time insofar as it's not Kamala and Tim AWOL's up there, right? But look, if you're really happy about some things that are going on, and there is some stuff you should be happy about, you need to get more involved, right? Think about it. You're on the football field. Quarterback just threw a 20-yard pass. It was caught. Do you just want to sit there? And you're down by 7, by the way. You're down by 7. You're inside the 2-minute warning. Do you want to hurry up and get up to the line of scrimmage and get that play call and charge faster and score? Or do you just want to diddy bop around and be like, oh, wow, we just got a first down. I guess we'll just sit here and whatever and stick our thumb in our whatever. And, oh, shoot, we ran off the clock, but we were getting close. No. If you're starting to win, you want to try to pick up the pace and win a little bit faster and win a little bit more, right? So here's how I'm looking at it. And we're going to talk more about this in a minute, but I want to tell you guys about this 2A rally coming up here in Michigan in just about a week and a half, because that's something pretty cool going on that I like. And I've heard there's some more rallies in the works, and I'll let you know. But here's one we have right now. But, dude, if you're, like, so excited right now, you're kind of, like, becoming a little complacent with the Second Amendment. No. We want to win more and win, like, faster. However, if you're on the other side of the coin and you're just so down and out about everything that you're wanting to tap out of the Second Amendment, it's like, dude, you're down and out right now. Life's not going good. There's still lots of tyranny. There's still lots of gun control being passed literally as we speak. I can prove it because as much as people want to think in some cases there's no more gun control going on, I have 3 bills that I'm doing a deep dive on, literally trying to physically find them and where they're at right now and what's going on with them. So I can promise you there is stuff going on. Well, that's all the more reason to get out and fight like crazy as well. Let me read these 2 chats, and then I'm going to have you guys take a look at our YouTube community posts I just made a little bit ago. Colin L with the super chat. Thank you, Colin L. I appreciate it, man. And he says, is Pam Bondi out? Trump's AG? Well, I'm glad you mentioned her because I was going to talk about her, and I don't know. Did anything happen with the votes today? I was outside working all day today in the cold. I'm probably going to have to go salt again tomorrow morning of all things. It's like, yeah. Let me know if you guys have any status updates on Pam Bondi, but as far as I know, she's still going through her hearings in the Senate, and I don't know if there's any breaking news on Pam Bondi today. I could check and see in 1 second if there was a vote, but yeah. I did a whole live stream literally dedicated to Pam Bondi, and I'm not excited. Not too excited about her whatsoever, and that's me putting it very mildly to say that I'm not excited. G23 with a generous $20 super chat. Thank you, G23. I appreciate it, man. And shout out to the G23 channel, by the way, guys. He's been a YouTuber for a long time on here. Says hopefully this will help with gas to try to stop the tyrannical government, keep Michigan free. I'm fighting in Oregon to keep it free. We'll keep up the good fight, man. And that really does actually help. So thank you. I really appreciate it. And yeah, man, it's gas, and it's, unless you want to follow over, you usually have to like buy lunch out of town. You know, it's like the Capitol's not exactly next door. So it's a whole trip, and then you got to pay to park. So thank you. I appreciate that. And no, that definitely helps. You guys are my sponsors. Did you guys hear a big ad read at the beginning of this tonight? No, you didn't. So that will definitely help for sure. Red, what's happening, Red? How you doing, man? With a generous $20 super chat. I appreciate it, man. He says, might be busy more than I'd like Friday nights, but keep doing what you're doing. Well, thank you for the contribution. And as you just heard me tell our friend G23, you know where I'm going to be putting it to use, and I promise I will. And hey, man, look, if you're busy doing fun stuff, I hope you mean you've been doing fun stuff on a Friday night. Like that's awesome, man. I hope things are going good. Now, if you're having to do like mundane chores, like crawl around and clean the tile in the bathroom on a toothbrush or something, well, then no, stop doing that and come hang out with the stream. But no, I'm glad you got some stuff going on, and I appreciate the support, man. And keep up the good fight. I know you and I probably align about 100% when it comes to the Second Amendment and the the shall not be infringed part. So thank you for the support, Red. I appreciate you, man. And I hope you're doing good. All right. So I am the 2A EDU YouTube page. There's a community tab. Has anyone heard of it? Well, considering, let me see here. I'm looking at my post. Considering how there is 8 likes on my new 7 likes, 7 people liked the post out of 75,000. So maybe people aren't aware of the YouTube community tab. Well, I'll show it to you real quick here. People that live in Western Michigan, I've been trying to work on some. Again, I'm doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes right now. I don't tell you guys everything I'm doing because, well, everybody doesn't need to know everything we're doing right now. But I've been working on some stuff behind the scenes, trying to gather information for the channel. Specifically. Maybe there's a couple people from the western side of the state that can chime in. 3 or 4 people did, and I appreciate it. But I am going to reach out to you guys in just a few minutes here. All right. Here is the 2A EDU YouTube channel. Has anyone heard of it before? All right. So you go over here on my community tab. And I'm being serious, though. Like, I'm kind of being facetious, but I'm actually being serious. I'll tell people all the time, I'm like, did you see what I posted on YouTube? Like, somebody around town here in real life. They'll say, 2A EDU. When is the whatever event? And I'm like, well, I posted that on YouTube like 3 or 4 times in the last month. And they're like, I didn't see it. I'm like, it's in the community tab. And they're like, well, what's that? So in the community tab, there is going to be a Second Amendment rally in Michigan coming up here on Tuesday, January 28th. And I put their website there so you can check out the Women for Gun Rights. It's womenforgunrights.org. And I hope to see you guys there. So this is a pretty cool idea that my friend Marcy and others are putting on. Now, this is called Women for Gun Rights. But before I go any further, and I do like this. Look, women enjoy the Second Amendment as much as anybody. And I would like to see more women involved in the good fight for sure. This event, though, is not just for women. This is for men. This is for women. This is for everybody. So with the new legislative session coming in, they were going to do a little press conference and a coffee reception, right? And they're going to do a presentation to some of the pro-Second Amendment reps in the Michigan House, some of the new ones coming in, offering encouragement to make sure they're going to toe the line for the Second Amendment. That's how I look at this, right? And it is good. It's good to encourage people. You call them out when they do something wrong, but if they're doing something good, we need to have their back, right? Then they're going to have a rally at the Capitol. This is an indoor rally, being the winter time. So you can go in there where it's nice and warm. Now, if you want to go to the coffee reception at 10 a.m., I'm just reading the flyer right here. You guys can all look at. It's $10, but that does include a t-shirt in your size. Now, they didn't tell me this. And I have talked to Marcy about this event, and maybe we'll get her on the channel here in the next couple of days to talk more to you guys about it. But just my common sense, buying shirts for work and stuff, I doubt they're making any money on this. But $10 covers a t-shirt in your size. And then after the reception, the rally is going to be at the Capitol. Everyone's going to put on these same colored shirts, all right, to make our presence known. So it says rally in the Capitol building. It's in the visitor center and in the seating in the House gallery. That's where the public can sit and overlook the House session. And I'll tell you something, so many times we've seen the other side. The moms demand action. The moms demand whatever, if you know what I mean. These people are real beauties. And when I say real beauties with these other people, I mean that in a different kind of way, right? These are not good. But they come in wearing all these red shirts. And I've talked about how they just fill up the gallery. They fill up the whole Capitol building, the lawn, the everywhere with all these red shirts saying, we stand for gun control. Look up at us. You can see us united, all wearing the same color shirt for gun control. And it makes you want to puke. Well, this is the opposite of that. This is saying, look up in the gallery. You can see all the people wearing the same color shirts standing for defending the Second Amendment. So, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. There's a 2 p.m. session start. Be ready to go into the gallery, and you can see here the information. And you should be able to take your phone and scan the QR code that's on the flyer here that I've uploaded. The Capitol building's address is right there for you, and also their website. I left a link for that so you can check it out. What do you guys think? I think that sounds like a decent idea. I think it sounds like a good time. Is anybody interested in going? Who do I want to see? What's up, DLD After Dark? How's it going, man? Shout out to the DLD After Dark channel. Man, that's a good Second Amendment fighter right there. DLD After Dark's good people, guys. Met him a couple times in real life, and too bad we can't see each other a little more, man. But we'll see each other around soon, won't we? Maybe you'll be around somewhere. Me and DLD, here's the thing with us, man. Like, we get around, you know what I mean? But we're kind of homebodies. I don't like to speak for you, my friend, but DLD After Dark, he's kind of a homeboy type, and I'm kind of a homebody too. But at the same time, we kind of get around, and yeah, we'll see him somewhere. You know what I'm saying, DLD? We get around, but we're kind of homeboys a little bit, right? We haven't reached the 5 super chat goal where I said I do some Q&A, but I might do a little bit in a minute. I might do it just a little bit here. We can't break the rules too much, right, Jane? She says, I'll probably be going. Good. Jane's been up at the Capitol with me recently. There's another feller who's been to the Capitol with me recently, too. I just don't see him in the chat right now. Maybe he'll show his face so we can give him a shout out. Who do you want to see? YT Sparty, who do you want to see at next year's Gundy Awards? Oh, I have no idea, man. I'm not really the awards type of dude, you know. I was nominated, and if anybody voted for me, I do appreciate it. Like, that's awesome. Whoever nominated with me, like, I'm honored. But I didn't even shout it out, like, once, I don't think, while the voting was going on. Because I'm really not, like, the awards type of dude. So, I don't know. No comment. I don't know. If one of my good friends is running, I would say go for them. Like, you know what I mean? But there's a bunch of categories. So you'd have to be more specific before I could tell you exactly who I'd like it to be. People want to know who I think would be the best governor of Michigan. We'll have to see who's running for that one. Let's see who's running in the primaries. There's 1 or 2 right now, but I don't want to say for sure yet because I'd like to know what the choices are. And no, guys, I'm not running for governor, so nobody has to worry about that, right? I don't know, Grizzly, man. This isn't really the solar channel. I do care about that issue, but there's a lot of Second Amendment stuff going on for sure right now. See, I knew I was right, DLD. I knew I was. I just, I just knew I was. I know how this is. It is what it is, but we'll hang out again someday. Tristan C says, I love events like this, but work means I rarely get to them. I know, that's the thing. Our side actually generally works. I mean, I work a ton, as much as I can, self-employed. When you own a small business, has anyone been there before? When you own a small business, you don't own the business actually owns you. So, yeah, it's hard to do it, but it's kind of more one of these things where it's all hard to do, though. Probably why we find ourselves in the shape we're in, right? I think so. So, yeah, anyways. Pam Bondi, did she get... Let me look her up real quick here. I just want to make sure there wasn't any breaking news with her. Look, Bondi's not good on the Second Amendment, guys. Her track record proves she's not. I hope, yet again, that she's changed her ways. I hope she's changed her ways. It looks like she's still going through the process in the Senate. I don't see anything here saying that she withdrew or anything like that. So, look, I'll cut to the chase quick on her because we have talked about this in the past. We did a whole stream to this. You guys can go back if you want to hear me talking about Pam Bondi, Blondie, whatever you want to call her, for an hour straight. She not only supported, but defended red flag laws. Red flag laws are a biggie. They're terrible. And look, every gun control law is equally worse because shall not be infringed means if we even had one gun control law, It wouldn't even be possible in a country where the Second Amendment's the supreme law of the land. It's true. There is no but, there is no comma. Yet, here we are, and we have to kind of organize which one's worse, which one's least worse, and it's completely ridiculous, and I hate it. I hate that we even have to talk about this. But red flag laws are probably one of the worst. Literally one of the worst, because they violate the Second Amendment completely and utterly. They also violate due process of law. If you really go down through it, they violate 3/4 of the Bill of Rights and the 14th Amendment, and just violate what it means to be an American. Man, it's tough. It's tough to get behind somebody like that. No, that's who Trump nominated. That's his pick. And under the advise and consent role of the Senate, she'll either pass and become the next Attorney General, or she won't. I know, no doubt, there's people worse than her, obviously. But yet again, we're finding ourselves chewing on the old, well, this is a little less worse, right? It's a little, maybe it's a lot less worse. Lesser of two evils sucks, though, man. So I'm not happy. She also believes you should have to be 21 to buy a firearm. Go look at her record. Maybe she's changed her ways. Maybe she's changed her mind. Maybe she hasn't, though. I don't know. I just don't know. I will say probably as a whole, the totality of Trump's nominated picks for the cabinet, certainly less worse than what Kamala's picks would have been. So, yeah. What's happening, Gort? How you doing, man? Yeah, I'll read what Gort just typed in. He says, a Dem senator asked Bondi if she would support red flag laws and 21-year-old minimum age for firearm purchase. She answered that she will support the Second Amendment, which is a bit cloudy. Yeah, that's the typical non-answer answer, politician's answer. We'll see. Here's the question I have, guys. Why do Republicans never, ever, ever drill down and call out their own? I probably have an answer to that. And that's probably why this is a pretty small YouTube channel. Because I don't agree with that, and that's not what I do. Look, when the Michigan House of Representatives minority leader at that time, now Speaker of the House, voted for gun control, I had to tell you guys the truth. Because I wanted to be mean to him inherently? No, I'm not even a mean guy. Because you guys need to know the truth. And that's why I had his primary opponent on here, so that you all could decide that lived in his district, so you could be educated and decide if you're a single issue voter on the Second Amendment, or if it's your primary issue, whatever your reasons are, you can make an educated choice on who you wanted to vote for. And it's not exactly popular to do anything like that. It's actually pretty unpopular to do things like that if you want to know the truth. But to me, that's our duty, to call out people when they do something wrong, when they're a public servant, and that they're elected to represent us and to uphold and defend the Constitution. It's an interesting thing how that works. But then all of a sudden, when it's like they're on our team, you can't call out your own teammate. Well, I guess that's the blessing and the curse with me, because I'm not on a team. I'm not on Team Red or Team Blue, actually. Now, the only allies I've been able to find for the Second Amendment, and there are some, actually, some really good ones, do happen to be Republicans. So you will find some really good ones there. And I'm not saying screw everybody just because they're a Republican. Don't mistake what I'm saying here. But I'm not on Team Red and I'm not on Team Blue. I just look at it like this. Do you support the Second Amendment or you don't? As soon as you say, I support but, or I do this, but I say that, no, you're not. There is no, well, I'm mostly pro-Second Amendment. That's literally impossible to be mostly pro-Second Amendment. You're either pro-Second Amendment 100% or you're not, because of the stark language that's used. It says the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now, these people would like to pretend, wouldn't they? Just think about this. They would like to pretend that it says a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. A whole lot of gun control isn't allowed to be passed. Some of these guys literally with a straight face pretend that's what it says. Or too much gun control shall not be passed. It's like, excuse me? Being necessary to the security of a free state, the right to keep and bear arms shall have only a few common sense gun control laws. And other than that, shall not be infringed. See, it doesn't even sound right saying it. But none of that's in there. None of that's in there at all. So when somebody says, I support the Second Amendment, but I'm like, just shut up. You don't support the Second Amendment. Regardless of what color you are, regardless of what colors you wear. But here's the thing, though. Sometimes people do see the light. Sometimes people do realize the errors in their way. Sometimes they're just political operatives, and they'll change with the winds because they want to keep power. Regardless, at the end of the day, we call out people when they vote against the Second Amendment or they do bad things against the Second Amendment. In the case of Pam Bondi, Donald Trump, and many, many others. See, I probably just lost a subscriber and got 10 thumbs down for even just stating that fact. So if you like the channel, make sure you don't forget to give me a thumbs up. But look, we don't call out these people just to be mean. You hope that maybe your argument will be convincing enough and you'll convince enough people to convince them. These are populists when it comes to these types of people. And you hope that they'll see the winds of change and they'll either A, just finally like maybe feel enough heat where they see the light and they're like, oh, geez, I was wrong this whole time. I understand now why it shall not be infringed. And if that's the case, great. Don't ever get mad when you're arguing with somebody and they actually believe you and come over to your side. Now, does that happen very much? Probably not. But if it does actually happen, that's a win. Now, here's the other one that's more probable. In many cases, they just simply want to get reelected or they want to be well-liked, and they might start voting good for the Second Amendment just to get reelected or just to be well-liked. And I think it's perfectly fine. If that's their reason, it's not perfectly fine for them, but it's perfectly fine for us to pressure them to where they're now standing and defending for the Second Amendment. Don't mistake what I just said there. It's not perfectly fine that they're insincere. That's still terrible. Their conscience, they'll deal with their creator for that, obviously. But if they just start voting perfectly for the Second Amendment the whole rest of their career, even if they don't mean it, it's still a win for the Second Amendment. You see my point I'm making? So, yeah, it's good to call these people out. Maybe they'll do better. I always hope they're gonna, but I don't hold my breath because I'd be blue in the face just thinking about it, right? I don't know. I saw some more chats come in here, which I would like to read. DLD After Dark just threw in a $2 super chat. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And he says, gotta achieve goals. 100%. Yes, sir. Look, I want to win. Like, dude, if things suck, guys, that means we need to win more. If you're like totally ecstatic because things are going like so awesome for you, that also means like we need to win more, right? I hope that's the case. DLD After Dark coming in again. Thank you for the super chat. He says, appreciate what you do. Well, thanks, man. I'm trying. He says, I think Bondi's a liar. I hope she's not, but I think she probably is. You know, I mean, I'm being serious. Hopefully she's just the best AG ever, and she's like, we will not prosecute any gun law cases, like shall not be infringed, prosecutorial discretion, nobody's getting in trouble for anything with the DUA. I could hope that, and I sincerely do hope that. Would I bet a lot of money on it? No. Well, I don't have any money to bet, and the money you guys have generously donated tonight, that's being put forth so I can keep fighting the good fight. I wouldn't throw away my money on that bet because probably not. Probably not going to happen, right? Fun to learn, a channel member and a $5 super chat. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I didn't see a message that came in. I don't know if it just got cut off, but I will try to check that in the replay. And I appreciate you being a longtime supporter, man. And and keep up the good fight. Yeah, there's a lot to, there's a lot to Bondi. And what do you guys think? We'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. I just saw somebody here in the chat. Is that Jane Locke? Wait, she's changed her picture. I think it just says Jane L now. Hold on a minute. Is that Jane or is that an imposter in the chat? Pillbox Bunker. What's happening, Pillbox? Let me know if she's legit. Can you help me out, Pillbox? Is that the real Jane? It used to say Jane Locke, and it was a completely different picture. Now it says Jane L. That's either her equally good-looking twin sister, or let me know, Pillbox. Do we have an imposter in the chat, or is that the real Jane? We need to know, because Jane's a good friend of mine. People do this once in a great while. They do. Someone will come in, and they'll be just a little bit adjacent before. Pillbox will let us know. Let us know, Pillbox, if you can let me know. Is that the real one? Speaking of women for gun rights, here is my friend Marcy I was talking about earlier tonight. And she's citing the Michigan Constitution. This is your Article 1, Section 6. Every person has the right to keep and bear arms for the defense of himself and the state. 1963. It's about 60 years ago. And the people in charge of writing this document, they still decided that Michigan's version of the Second Amendment was still very important to be found in Article 1, Section 6. Yeah. You may have already been chiming in the chat, Marcy. I wasn't looking at it for certain periods of time, but if you guys have any questions right now, the rally that we're talking about, and quite frankly, it's a whole day's worth of Second Amendment events at the Capitol. It's on my community page, and you have the lady herself right here that can answer any questions you have. This is for women. This is for men, all ages. This is family friendly, right, Marcy? I just want to make sure, bring the family, bring your neighbors, bring whoever. We have this happen a lot in our chat where I'm like talking about a thing going on in the Michigan legislature, and I'm like, well, there she is, our favorite representative, Jamie Thompson. She's been in the chat so many times where I'm like, man, if I could just have a Michigan representative in the chat. And I'm like, there they are. And then we were literally just talking about this is Marcy's group, right? And I'm like, oh, there she is. So if you guys have any questions, please chime in. Any enthusiasm or support, because this lady and others in her group are putting a lot of time forth. And she did not tell me this, but I'm going to guess probably a lot of money forth to put on an event like this. So hopefully people are being enthusiastic, because if people don't start getting a little more enthusiastic pretty soon, I'll tell you guys what, man, we're going to not be doing so good. We're not. Is the Second Amendment needed anymore? I certainly think so. I do. I think it's needed more and more every day. Like, wouldn't it be awesome if tomorrow was a little better than today? And with that, we need the Bill of Rights to be followed. And we need to acknowledge, as much as we hate to think about these things, but all political power comes from the barrel of a gun. And the fact that we still have the Second Amendment, a little bit of it left. The fact that we still have a little bit of it left, and I'm not being somber, I'm just telling you guys the truth. Like, wake up, like, tell your friends and family this. I know most of you guys get it, but there's just a little bit of it left. There's tens of thousands of gun control statutes, regulations, rules that have full force and effective law, so-called case law, this, that, the other. It makes your head spin even thinking about it. But the only thing that really separates, in my opinion, us being citizens versus literally subjects, chained down subjects, is the fact that we have guns. Do we have parity with the military as far as what type of firearms we're allowed to own? Nope, not even close. Not even close, because the National Firearms Act of 1934 has just been accepted by so many people as, well, that's just the law of the land. Of course you can't own a machine gun. say, Heller, it established so-called case law. I don't even like the notion of case law. I'm using the word very sarcastically. Look, the supreme law of the land is the Constitution, is the Second Amendment. That's it. There's no but, there's no comma, there's no exception, there's no whatever in the Second Amendment. But we needed the Heller case, which was a landmark decision. And it was an awesome decision, comma, but, and I'm going to tell you the comma, but, what Antonin Scalia did at that time. Look, of course, it's an individual right. Obviously, it's an individual right. And it'd be a lot worse if SCOTUS had said it's not. If they would have said, well, no, that the militia just means the National Guard. No, the National Guard is not the militia. Okay? The National Guard, no, the National Guard can literally be federalized and called up to be under the POTUS, the commander-in-chief, and sent off and deployed to fight in foreign wars. Look, God bless all of you that serve in the Guard. God bless all of you as long as you're honoring your oath and you're there fighting for our country, or you did in the past, in any of the branches of the armed services. Thank you so much to all of you who have fought and took that oath seriously. And anyone worth a dang still takes that oath just as seriously today as they ever did. But the United States Armed Services and the National Guard, that is not a militia. That's actually completely opposite of a militia. Because the Founding Fathers didn't write a large and powerful standing army being necessary to the security of a free state. No, they didn't write that at all, because if you look at the Founding Fathers' writings, it becomes abundantly clear that most of them, essentially all of them, one of their worst fears was ever having a standing army in times of peace. Standing navy to protect the high seas, yes. Pirates, trade routes, to protect from an invasion. Maybe the King of England would come back, and they did. War of 1812. Look at the White House got burned down. Pretty close to losing the country just after it got going, actually. We're probably closer to losing the country right now in so many ways than we've ever been, though, actually. And we're under the more tyranny right now under this government than the colonists ever were under the King of England, in my opinion. But with all of that said, the United States Armed Services is not the militia that they're talking about. They're talking about regular people just like me and just like you. And this was discussed in the Federalist Papers in a basic core fundamental question. This is before the country was founded. Should we even have a government at all? Right? They said if men were angels, we would need no government at all. But since certainly men are not angels, we're going to need both internal and external checks on the government, because we sure know that the government are not angels whatsoever. So what does that mean? It means that a government was only supposed to be put there to protect our natural rights from each other, because there's always a petty tyrant among us. There's evil people. There's always been evil people, and this has always been a battle of good versus evil. That's what it is right now, and it literally always will be. This has been written about long ago, and the more things change, the more they stay the same. We're in a battle of good versus evil. Just remember that. That's really all this comes down to. And evil always prevails when good men do nothing. And I don't want to see evil prevail. I can't stand evil. I know you can't stand it either, but look, if men were angels, we'd need no government at all. But since men are certainly not angels, we are going to need a government to protect our natural rights, your rights that were endowed by your creator. Look, that's a very intimate decision to know who your creator is. I hope you all know that. And if not, I hope that you find that. And I hope you continue your journey. It's a very, very important one. And it's a very difficult one for many. But I know none of us believe that the current former vice president created us. You don't believe Donald Trump created you, right? Of course, you don't believe that George Washington created you, or Alexander Hamilton created you, or James Madison, although I'd love it if those guys were running the country right now instead of this trash that we have right now in Washington, D.C. But no. The government did not give you your rights. The government can put up roadblocks and hurdles, which they are right now, but that's completely antithetical to what the government was supposed to be. The government was supposed to protect your natural God-given rights, protect you from yourselves. Say, nope, the Constitution stands supreme. I don't care if your two neighbors want to take away your gun. It says, shall not be infringed. See, the government is supposed to stop anyone from trying to take your guns, let alone doing what they do now, where they are the ones that are indeed trying to take your guns. People say, well, hold on. Ain't nobody coming after your guns. Oh, really? Oh, really? Then go buy a machine gun right now for a reasonable price. Go buy a silencer, muffler, or moderator at a decent price without having to register it on the NFA. See, somehow, even with Heller, as great of a case as it was, it's an individual right, okay? The militia is not the National Guard. It's not the U.S. Army, okay? That part's great, but, and there is a comma, but, Scalia in the majority decision said, but the Second Amendment doesn't protect it if it's a particularly dangerous and unusual firearm. Not either or, it had to be both. But he said the Second Amendment doesn't apply if it's an especially dangerous and unusual firearm. But see, here's the problem with that. There is no but. There is no the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, comma, but it can be infringed if it's particularly dangerous and unusual. That's actually not in the Second Amendment at all. Now, that flies in the face of U.S. v. Miller, where Miller, a pretty bad guy actually, pretty shady, involved in all kinds of different trouble. Not the best person to be in there in the court, but there was a landmark Second Amendment decision in U.S. v. Miller where he had a short-barreled shotgun, a sawed-off shotgun, if you will. And the argument was, hey, it's protected by the Second Amendment. It says shall not be infringed. And the court at that time said, well, hold on a minute. Is the short-barreled shotgun a weapon of war? Now, this is crazy because all you hear now is we need to ban weapons of war. Weapons of war are not protected. But no, in U.S. v. Miller, 1929, I believe. Or not 1939. NFA was 34. 1939, just a couple years after the NFA, U.S. v. Miller said, well, we looked. This is what the Supreme Court said. We looked around, and if we could have seen military use of the short-barreled shotgun, it would actually be protected. Because the Second Amendment actually does protect weapons of war, because the well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, we the people might need to go to war at any time against invaders, foreign or domestic, against another invading tyrannical government or our own tyrannical government. And because of that, especially weapons of war are the highest protected degree, right? That's the essence of what U.S. v. Miller says. But they said, unfortunately, Miller should have basically said no, but says shall not be infringed. Everything's legal. But what's interesting is they said since the short-barreled shotgun isn't being used in war, no, it's not offered the same highest level of protection. Then we jump forth to Heller, and Scalia says if it's extra dangerous, right? Look, if it's dangerous and it's unusual, that's not protected either. So therefore, machine guns, and he actually cited machine guns specifically. Well, they're too dangerous and they're also unusual. So yeah, the Founding Fathers knew that we had to have both internal and external checks on government. And the internal checks were supposed to be the structure of the government itself. The Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the People's House, the United States Senate, the People's House representing the interest of their hometowns and local communities within each of the 50 states. The Senate, the upper chamber, supposed to represent the interest of the states. The People's House, the Senate, is to represent the interest of the states. And then the president, who would also serve as commander-in-chief. All of these people's offices are only allowed to exist at all to protect our natural and God-given rights, certain unalienable rights that are endowed by your creator, right? Well, they said, we're going to need the internal checks. We're going to need the different branches of government. We're going to need a court system. And the highest court shall be called the Supreme Court. And that would be there as an internal check on power. That would be an internal check on not potentially because they knew it would happen, but that would be the check, an internal check on an inevitably tyrannical government. But they went further and said, but we need both internal and external checks on government. The external checks, that's called we the people. That's the well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And the people is a group of people that doesn't necessarily even need to be law-abiding citizens, according to the founding fathers. The people would need to be Americans, the people, right? We the people of the United States of America. So certainly that would be Americans that are part of the people. But it doesn't say the law-abiding citizen. Isn't that interesting? It doesn't say the law-abiding citizen. It doesn't say the right of the people who choose to purchase a permit shall not be infringed. It doesn't say any of that. And since the founding fathers' worst fear was to have a large standing army that'd be more powerful than the people's militia in times of peace, but we can't even legally purchase the same firearms. And by the way, when we say arms, we mean all arms. It's not just firearms, although we think of it as guns. And it's totally cool. Like it's gun rights, yeah. But it's just arms, period. That can include a knife, hands and feet, a sidearm, a shoulderable firearm, a crew serve weapon, an artillery, a vehicle, a plane, a battleship. Yes, civilians did own some of the most modern battleships in the times of the Revolutionary War. And good thing they did, or we probably would have lost. It doesn't mean that the military can have a machine gun and you can't. That's actually not allowed whatsoever in the Second Amendment. It's the complete opposite of why the Second Amendment was written. And I don't know if it's just a lot of people just don't understand that. Or do people disagree with it? Or are they just kind of too lazy to do anything about it? Are they too frustrated to do anything about it? Are they too happy and exuberant to do anything about it? Because as I've said so many times in these streams, and I just see John Q. Public chiming in saying the Bill of Rights is a restriction on government. Absolutely. The government doesn't give you rights. Your rights are endowed by your creator. There's a big, big difference. A good way, a beautiful way to summarize the Bill of Rights and the Second Amendment is don't tread on me. That's what it says. Now, a lot of people like reptiles. A lot of people like snakes. But that don't tread on me and the Gadsden flag, that's a very serious thing. The join or die flag where it shows the segmented snake. Join or die. That's also is a very, very serious thing. Yeah, don't tread on me. As simple as it sounds, it's actually pretty much almost says it all. That's what the Second Amendment and the Bill of Rights and these United States of America is all about. But I'm afraid, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm afraid in so many cases lately, the Gadsden flag, the don't tread on me flag has just become kind of a fashion statement. And I believe there's a lot of people LARPing. That stands for live action role playing. The younger kids taught me that recently. 2AEDU, get with the times. People kept saying LARPing. I'm like, do you mean harp? Harp's a beautiful instrument, by the way. Harp. I said harp. My mom used to harp on me if I wasn't studying my homework. I'm like, no, not harp, LARP. I'm like, tell me what that means. They said live action role playing. Am I right, Mateo? Mateo understands some of what the younger folks has to say. Mateo's a lot hipper than I do. And ask him, he'll tell you. We're on the phone. I'm like, somebody just said this. And what does this even mean? And somehow he just knows. You know what I mean? Like, I'll give this a true story. I'll digress for 1 second, and then I'll tell you what I'm getting at here. I told him, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said, I fitna. And I'm like, what? Excuse me? And I had said something like, do you want to go wherever? And they said, I fitna go. I fitna go to the store, or wherever they were going. I'm like, what the heck does fitna mean? And I asked Mateo, and he just starts laughing. He's like, yeah, dude, that's not really like, He just started laughing, and he's like, yeah, this is not really like the kind of talk a guy like you uses. So, yeah, just stay out in the country where you'll be at, and you'll be all right, and you'll never hear that word again. Something like that, right, Mateo? But yeah, so as the younger kids say, right, Mateo, I think a lot of people are out there LARPing right now with this Gadsden flag, man. Don't tread on me is what it says, and it's got a snake. What happens when you step on a snake? It bites you. It bites you to the point where you're probably going to die. But yeah, I don't know how to say it. See, random guy from out, someone said, I fit and I go wherever. I'm like, excuse me? I thought he was saying like fitness. I'm like, is this guy going to Planet Fitness? Now, Mateo knows where I live and stuff. I'm not, I'm not in with certain cultures. But Mateo's like, no, dude, you wouldn't understand and you don't want to understand. So I'm like, good, we'll just leave it at that, right? So that's always funny. You have to have a friend that you can call when you're talking to one of these younger kids and be like, all right, I got mostly A's and B's and an occasional C. I wasn't exactly a Rhodes Scholar, guys. You know what I mean? Quit the high school band out of defiance and then ended up getting a full ride scholarship to play in the band at a local community college, which, then in a weird change of events, the high school band director took over as band director for the community college, so I quit again. Oh, yeah. But I have a decent command of the English language, but I don't know all the words people speak nowadays. Yes, Marcy, the government can't take them away, but they can sure violate them. They can violate them as much as you're willing to let them, actually. That's the important part. Oh, there's my friend. What's happening, Crazy Heathen? How you doing, man? Dude, I know we're always talking about rallies. I understand you may have some stuff in the works, and when you're ready to announce some stuff, I will definitely share with everybody. Crazy Heathen, check out my community page. Marcy's actually in the chat right now if you want to talk to her. If you guys, want a introduction, Marcy, my friend Phil, Marcy. Marcy's doing a 2A rally event at the Capitol here on the 28th. It's an indoor event. Look, I have to tell you guys this. You can't bring a gun inside the Capitol. We need to change that. We need to do something about that. It's completely unconstitutional. It's completely tyrannical. And the type of Marcy rally that Marcy's planning, look, we got a couple people in here right now that are heavy hitters in Michigan, is what I'm telling you guys. We've got Marcy and we've got Phil. In certain ways, they're complete opposite people, actually. They don't even look the same, nothing like that. But they have one thing in common, and that's all I care about. Both of these are fierce Second Amendment fighters. What she's got planned, Phil, is probably not exactly how your rallies are, the exact manner, but I think I like it. I do. I think it's a pretty cool thing. So check out what she's wanting to do. And if you just joined, Phil, hit rewind a little bit. And I talked about what they're doing, and the flyer is on the YouTube community page. See, this is I'm just a redneck that lives in the woods. Well, yeah, that's good though. I like those kind of people, actually. I like people whose neck is red, and I definitely like the woods. Rescue Nut coming in with a super chat and a channel member. You guys see that avatar? Ooh, it's a bit squirrely with that mask on and those gloves. I like it though. Thank you for the super chat. He says, thanks for all you do for us. Dude, I don't know that I'm doing a whole lot, but I'm trying. I'm going to get into a little teaser on these Michigan bills in just 1 minute, because something ain't quite right now. I don't care for it too much. John Q. Public, a channel member and a super chat. Well, thank you, John. I appreciate it. He says, Google search carry firearms in vehicles in 1791. Okay, I will. I will when this stream's over, because at first I want to say there wasn't vehicles then, but then I stopped myself immediately. I'm like, no, there might not have been motor vehicles in the sense we know them now, but of course there were vehicles in 1791. Okay. Sounds like a good homework assignment. I will definitely Google search it and then see what I come up with. What's happening, Vince Metzger? How you doing, man? He said, you should get the PSA squirrel over LOL. I know. Rescue nuts, you need one of those. I posted them over on my locals community. Make sure you guys are checking out over there for good deals, by the way. Now, Cash Patel, Grizzly man, look, I'm somewhat excited for Cash Patel. I hope. I hope. Man, I'm just getting to the point where it's hard to put any faith in any one person for anything, isn't it? I mean, it really is. I'm going to put out a video about this in a little bit, guys. But I'm going to give you guys a little teaser that have stayed this long in the live stream. All right. All right. I'm gonna go through here and tell you guys a little something I'm working on right now. Do you guys want to get a little nerdy and maybe esoteric? Because this is stuff that you don't really see a lot of YouTubers covering, and maybe there's a good reason a lot of YouTubers don't cover this kind of stuff, because maybe it's super boring, but I hope not. These are gun control bills. Michigan House Bill 5450. It's passed the House, it's passed the Senate. It's supposedly been presented to the governor. Did a whole video on this. If you guys are new here, welcome. Glad to have you here. Go back and watch my recent videos. You'll know a lot about these bills. You'll know more about them than you want to know, but you need to know. Okay. What's up, Chanzig? I don't like it that my live doesn't show up on your feed. I know you don't like it either. You're being sarcastic. Oh, yeah. I'm sure they do all they can to keep this channel from showing up. Because now I'm digging into behind-the-scenes stuff with the government. House Bill 6144, 6145. These are gun control bills. Some of you guys were watching my live stream when they did that so-called sine die, which is Latin for saying without day. All right. Session that was supposed to end this outgoing legislative session on New Year's Eve. Does anyone remember her? Does anyone remember her? Her name was Lori Pohotsky. Lori Pohotsky. Do you remember her? Does anybody miss her? I miss Lori Pohotsky. She was that one with the gavel. I miss her about that much. Just so you guys understand. Somebody said earlier. They said, how much do you miss Lori Pohotsky? I said, I miss her that much. I'm trying to be very polite, just a little bit. See how far my fingers are apart? So she came in and we got to see her up there with the gavel for the last time. It was a sad day for nobody. But they went through and they did the sine die. That's supposed to be without day, meaning the session's over. And we're hearing them reading all these bills. And I was talking to my friend Ron on the phone earlier. Okay, Casey says, who? Go back and watch some of my middle of the night live streams. You guys will know who we're talking about here. This is a real beauty, by the way. Whew. Some of these people are really going downhill. I'm not going to lie. I'm being very polite. They've been going downhill a lot lately. But not good-looking people on the inside or out, trust me. But they went through and they were saying on the 31st, they're going through. The clerks are reading in this stuff. And they're saying this was presented to the governor, or this is being presented to the governor on the 23rd. Well, how do you present something today, 8 days ago? Now, I'm not especially good at math, but today I hereby give you, let's find somebody good in the chat here. Paul Bennett, okay? My friend Paul Bennett. Paul, today I give you $1 8 days ago. Now, wait a minute now. How does that work? Wow. Maybe some of you math majors can help me with this, but this is important. I'm heading somewhere with this. All right. So they were going through talking about this, and I'm like, yeah, but this doesn't make any sense. Yeah, these are not good people, Grizzly man. Trust me. What's up, Sam Young? Sam, you know what I'm talking about? Not good people. But so we're watching this. This is weird. Well, these bills were passed by both chambers of the Michigan legislature, the House and the Senate. I'm going to look up one of the histories of these bills, and this will start to maybe make some sense to you where I'm heading with this. I'm kind of like an old hound dog sniffing out a trail. I don't have a final answer yet. And this is the stuff that, like, maybe I'm wasting my time. I hope I'm not wasting my time with any of this, but this is stuff where you got to kind of go down a long road here to hopefully get somewhere. So this is House Bill 5450. This is draconian. This is where The MDHHS, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, will be centering the indoctrination to indoctrinate your children of how the firearms are supposed to be stored within your home, including who knows what, possibly limitless. Go back to my recent videos. I covered exactly word for word. So this is how this looks. We're looking at in the Michigan Legislature, House Bill 5450 of 2024. Here's your sponsors on top. Here's PDFs of the House introduced bill, passed by the House, passed by the Senate, House concurred, House enrolled. All right, now here's a history, and it's a long one. February 14th of 24, it was introduced by Representative Sharon McDonnell, someone that hates the Second Amendment, obviously. They inserted its title, see? Now, some of this stuff just doesn't make any sense. So, we're going down near the bottom. For those of you listening, the visual aid helps. But you can see here, on 12/31, it was returned from the Senate without amendment with its full title. On House Journal 89. Now, there's a House Journal and a Senate Journal. Every time something happens, every day something happens in either of the chambers, there's a journal, and that is the official log of what happened that day. And it's very wordy, and it's very long, and often, I explained this in a previous video, they err and tell you that it was through this House Journal, but it was another one, but it was this, and it's very convoluted. I don't want to bore you because it's really weird. And it's not good. And this is what a tyrannical government looks like. So on the 31st, return without amendment with full title from the Senate under House Journal 89. Now, this is important. On House Journal 89, the journal is like the official record. Like, it didn't happen if it's not in the journal. If it happened, it has to be in the journal. Unless we have like a secret shadow government that we don't even know about because, no, like I know that sounds crazy, but you'll see where I'm heading with this. Like maybe we have that. I don't even know what we have anymore. But, okay, now also on House Journal 89 on 12/31 of 24, full title agreed to. And then on 12/31, this is what's weird. House Journal 89, page 2087. That's how long these journals are, okay? When I say these are long, these are long. I've actually had to read through these hundreds and thousands of pages to find a lot of the stuff that I report. Talking about having no life. You guys want to know why I don't have any friends? I own a small business and I'm reading house journals. And in some cases, they're 2,000 pages trying to get to this crap. And there's some crap going on and something's rotten in Denmark. Because the bill was ordered and rolled 12/23 of 2024 on the 31st. So today I hereby do declare that I'm ordering this to happen 8 days ago. Now that never made any sense to begin with. Now here's what makes even a little less sense. If you go to 12/31, 2024, House Journal 90, well, hold on a minute. 89 was the last one though. Because sine die means the House stands adjourned without day. Now, they didn't follow sine die because the Constitution says it has to happen at noon. The House did it at 1:30. It says they have to pass a resolution for sine die. And this is in the Michigan Constitution, and they didn't do that either. Okay, think about this. And then at the last minute, after they didn't even end the session constitutionally, not even close, like there's literally a time of day. It says at 12 noon. Don't believe me? Go read it. I promise you it's there. And there has to be a concurrent resolution. The Senate passed one, the House did not. So did the session ever end? I don't know. According to the Constitution, it couldn't have ended this way. But somehow it did. Think about that. But on the 31st, House Journal 89, that's like the last one you can find. Bill enrolled today, 8 days ago. To me, there should have been an entry on 12/23 up here saying under House Journal, whatever it would have been at the time, if it was really enrolled on the 23rd. But no, it's like today it's enrolled 8 days ago. You follow me? Now, House Journal 90, I'm in search of it. Has anybody seen it? Because here's the problem. It says that it was presented to the governor on House Journal 90, page 0. Now, if I had a 3-page document, would that document start on page 1? I think so. Page 1, page 2, page 3. Let me know in the chat. If you had a 3-page document, if you had a 1,000-page book, wouldn't you start with page 1 and then page 2? So how can you have page 0 of a document, and you'll see a bunch of these, it's on page 0. That perplexes me. But page 0, whatever. It's not my primary focus, though. Presented to the governor. Can you guys see my screen? On 12/31/2024, presented to the governor, 1/8 of 2025. Now that's at 11:48 a.m. So if you go up just like one line above it, on the 31st, it was enrolled on the 31st, 8 days ago. But then also on the 31st, it was enrolled after they had already gone sine die, supposedly. It had been presented to the governor that day on the 31st, but 8 days later. Look, these guys are going back in time. They're going ahead in time. They're doing anything but the present time. But that's not all. Where's House Journal 90? I can't find House Journal 90. I called the clerks of the House office. Not once, but several times. Thinking maybe I get a hold of someone different. And I'm like, excuse me, I'm looking for the House Journal 90. Well, sir, you go to our, legislature.mi.gov and search on this, go to journals. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, well, maybe, sir, you can't find it because it's going to default to legislative year 2025. And I'm like, yawn. It's kind of like, dude, your computer's like totally euchred. And the guy on the phone with tech support's like, make sure it's plugged in. Have you seen a werewolf lately, sir? Is there a full moon? Perhaps the werewolf's blocking your Wi-Fi. You got to go through these questions. And look, it's more legit that a werewolf is blocking your Wi-Fi because those are totally more real than, in my opinion, this House Journal 90 is. So I bring that up, not even being hyperbolic, but they're going through, sir, go to www, and I'm just sitting there. Okay, I'm there. All right, go on. They're like, it's going to default. You have to go to session 2024. So I'm like, well, yeah. I'm like, where's House Journal 90? One young gal, nice lady and all. She's just doing her job, I'm sure. Whatever. They're doing whatever. Probably a nice lady. Maybe she loves the Constitution. Maybe she doesn't. I have no idea. Just whoever answered the phone at the clerk's office. Well, come to find it, sir, I can't find House Journal 90 either. I'm like, well, I'm trying to find out if this was really presented to the governor or not. And the only way you can find it, that you can truly find, is you look at the House Journal. You guys follow me? Nobody can find this House Journal 90. I've called multiple people from the clerk's office. We can't find House Journal 90. I'm like, well, that's not acceptable. You can't just say you can't find. Did this get presented to the governor? It didn't. But I was assured every time I called the clerk's office. You follow me here? I was assured. They said, and this is what I've been working on, guys, for like over a week. So hopefully this gets us somewhere. Because I'm the only one going through these links that I'm aware of. Hopefully people way better at it than me are. But the only one I'm aware of going through these links. I'm like, well, I said, so was it presented to the governor or it wasn't? Because I have lots of questions. Whether they did anything legal with any of this due to the order they did it in. I don't believe these bills ever even got sent to the governor in the fashion they needed to. That's in my opinion. But look, she's like, sir, well, we can't find it. I said, well, did it get presented to the governor or not? Oh, I assure you, sir, it did get presented to the governor. And I'm like, okay, prove it. Well, I'm telling you, it got sent to the governor. It got presented to the governor. I'm like, well, where's the proof? Well, the proof is in the House Journal, sir. And I'm like, okay, what House Journal? Well, House Journal 90, sir. I'm like, okay, I'm requesting to be able to see House Journal 90. She's like, oh, no problem. Hold on, sir, we have a problem. I'm like, oh, we do. Where we can't find House Journal 90. I'm like, well, where is it? Did it get lost? Well, I don't know. Did it ever exist? I don't know. And I'm like, I'd like to, did the governor get the bill? Well, absolutely, sir. It says so right here. All right, well, where's the proof? It's in the House Journal. Where's the House Journal? Shubinadamana national pressure. I'm just like, whoa. Now, these people are a little bit smarter than the current former vice president. Don't get me wrong. In some cases, not much, though. In some cases, yes. So I'm talking to all these different people from Lansing. So I call the Speaker of the House's office, Speaker of the House, Matt Hall. All right. Now, keep in mind, my favorite state representative, Jamie Thompson, she's been on this the whole time. She's not leadership. All right, there's a difference here. You guys know this, right? There's representatives. They all have equal votes on the floor. Jamie's vote's just as important as Speaker of the House Hall for any bill when it comes to the floor. Make no mistake. But at the same time, she ain't leadership, and I'm actually glad she's not. Look, leadership's nice. I want Jamie just to be Jamie, and I don't like hearing Jamie and leadership in the same sentence because she'd probably be actually like one of the best leadership they've ever had. But I'm kind of like, don't like the government too much, so I'm kind of a little bit leery of leadership. But you guys are following me here. So she's my state rep. She's been on this stuff. Me and her talk. Again, like I tell you guys all the time, we've talked about the Second Amendment several times just this week alone. So I'm like, but I need to get to leadership on this, it's called. So I'm like, I'm going to call the Speaker of the House. Does that make sense? Cool, crazy heathen. Nice, man. Look, guys, let me know if anyone's coming on the 28th. Sounds like a good time to me, too. I hope I can see you there, man. It'd be nice. Nice to get together again. I haven't seen you since last summer. And I want to see some more of you guys in real life, too. Go to my community page. So anyway, so I called the Speaker of the House's office, Matt Hall, the Republican. The phone rings a couple times, and it says, I forget his little recording, and it says, mailbox is full. You can't leave a message. So I'm like, wow, busy, man. They have a whole staff of people. They're all busy. Okay. So I calls again. Goes the voicemail. I'm like, all right, man, I need to speak to the Speaker of the House. Can I talk to the Speaker actual? Probably not. But I need to speak to his office about this because they're the ones that are in charge of the clerks, essentially. Maybe I'm misspeaking on legalese, but basically the way it actually works is they're in charge of all of this. So I'm like, all right. So I call the Speaker again. And again and again and again. And I can't count that high. I ran out of fingers and didn't really want to use my toes because it was too cold to take my work boots off. You know what I mean? I'm wearing a pair of Wolverines. Not made in Michigan anymore, but nothing's made in Michigan anymore. But whatever. All the good people are leaving this state. I can't say I blame them, but I hope some good people will stay. And I hope I'll see some good people at this rally coming up. But look, I don't know. It was probably like maybe not quite 10 times because I need to use my toes to count past 10. I didn't want to take off my boots. Too darn cold out. I was out salting. So I'm like, I can't get a hold of the Speaker. So what do? I call the Speaker Pro Tem's office. That's Rochelle Smith's office. Didn't talk to her actual, although I have talked to Rochelle Smith, and I like her a lot. And I think she's an awesome Second Amendment defender. And then it kind of came down to where they're like, okay, we're not exactly sure about this House Journal 90 either, which nobody's sure about this darn thing. Is the Speaker Pro Tem, look, that's what Pohutsky was. So it was Pohutsky. Now it's Smith, Rochelle Smith. A lot better off with Rochelle Smith, let me tell you what. And Rochelle Smith's a good two-way fighter. Now, they said, well, is she your representative? I'm like, no, Jamie Thompson's my representative, but I'm calling the Speaker Pro Tem's office as a member of leadership, trying to get to the bottom of this. They forwarded my request on to my state rep's office, Abby. She's a wonderful young lady. I like her a lot. We've become buddies. We've hung out in real life. She started to do a little research, and yeah, so that was that. So then I called the House Majority Floor Leader's office. Are you guys familiar with any of these types of titles? Now, his name's Brian Posthumous. Do I know Brian well? No, actually. But I've talked to him in passing, and I've heard good things about him. I've heard he's very pro-Second Amendment. His votes have been great for the Second Amendment. I will say that. So I call, and I'm talking to one of the guys that's in his office, his staff, you know, and a nice guy, actually. And we get to talking, and come to find out he watches the channel, which is cool, man. Like, I want people in Lansing to be watching this channel. Like, we need to inspire everybody. And the people that are working there, they especially need inspired, like, obviously. So we get to talking, and then he ends up forwarding me to what they call the back desk, the legislative aide, because they both serve different roles within the office. I get talking to this guy. I think I'm finally getting somewhere, guys. I think I'm finally getting somewhere. In fact, I'm going to be going to meet with the House Majority Floor Leader. Okay, this is like what you call top brass within the Michigan House of Representatives, from what I understand. And you guys will hear from him because I want to do a video with him and talk about the Second Amendment. And you guys can hear for yourself where he stands on that. But I hope I'm finally getting somewhere with this, because now there's some research being done. And I want to say shout out to Brian Posthumus and his office, Representative, Majority Floor Leader Posthumus, and his office. And look, these guys do have these titles, and I'm telling you their titles so you understand the pecking order and hierarchy. This is the Majority Floor Leader. But I also just want to call him Brian, because when you guys need to talk to your reps, you should be able to just be like on a regular basis with them. It's not like, oh, sir, I'm so blessed to meet you, or madam. Like, be polite if they deserve politeness. If you want to be rude, be rude. Don't ever threaten anybody or you'll just go to jail. That's not worth it. Dumb thing to do. But look, I'd like to humanize these people because they are just regular people at the end of the day. Nothing particularly special about anybody in this whole world where you have to call them by a title, actually. So, Brian Posthumus, we're going to hear from him how he is on the Second Amendment. And I'll tell you what, I ain't going to go much further with this because I'm working on finishing up a video. We might be starting to get somewhere. So, is he any of your reps, by the way? So, yeah, the ones that are really supporting and helping out and doing extra. Because, see, it's one thing just to say, haven't heard of it. And sometimes it's just totally honest. Like, where's House Journal 90? They just don't know. And some people are better at doing things than others. But I think I'm starting to finally getting down to this, talking to many different people up in Lansing, putting clues together. And the fact that I'm going to be doing a video with what's considered leadership, right? The House Majority Floor Leader. Hey, man, we can have him on the show, on the channel, and actually talk about this stuff. So there you guys go. I'm asking all of you, can any of you found, this is from the 2024 legislative year, Michigan House of Representatives, not United States Congress, guys. Michigan House of Representatives. These are Michigan gun laws. If you noticed when I shared my screen earlier, the governor hasn't signed these yet. Now, why would she be waiting all these days to sign these? She's had them for 9 days. Could you imagine Governor Whitmer just saying, well, maybe I don't want to sign gun control? I'm telling you, I think there's something going on here. Okay? Now, if anyone can find me House Journal 90, please, and thank you. Now, my friends from the west side of the state, and first I want to thank I think it was 3 of you that did email me. 3 people. We got 10 million people in this state. 3 people. I know, I do appreciate you guys. I'm working on something. Look, when I'm working on stuff, I can't, look, I would tell all of you guys everything like face to face. I don't always tell everybody why or exactly what. When it's time to, I do. Like, I've known about this unconstitutional stuff since like New Year's Eve. I wasn't going to say even as much as I just did. You never, ever interrupt your enemy making a mistake. So let them dig their grave as deep as they can. I've had to keep my mouth shut on this stuff for over a week and 2.5 weeks rather now. I've been talking to people on the inside. I've been talking to people everywhere, just random people. For anyone that's listening, I can't even remember who all the people I've talked to are, so torturing me won't do any good. But no, I've known about this. I've been talking to some people about this for 2.5 weeks. All right. But I just had to keep my mouth shut publicly because... But now I think whatever the other side's doing, they've dug in too deep and it is okay to talk. Does that make sense? People on the west side of Michigan, I've been hearing reports of some stuff that's not so good going on there. Here's my question. All right. I'm going to put my email address. All right. Here's my, here's the email address I want you to respond to. If you can help me with this, I'm working on something you guys will like. It's 2AEDU. I'm putting this in the chat. If you live on the west side of the state of Michigan, you don't have a CPL. So then you have to get a purchase permit to go buy a pistol, even from a gun shop. from your local police station, from your sheriff's department. I know there's viewers that have had to go through this because I've gotten lots of comments about it, lots of complaints about it, lots of people really pissed off. So we're talking the west side of the state. Do you have experiences where you don't have a CPL? You went to buy a pistol from the gun shop or from wherever, and you had to first go to your local police station or sheriff's department or whatever, get a permit to be able to go buy it. And maybe you ran into some troubles. Maybe they weren't open when they said they were. Maybe you ran into some issues where, you couldn't afford the fees. It was an infringement that you just couldn't bear. There were stumbling blocks. You got the runaround. I've heard this from so many people. I've been hearing lots of stuff going on that I don't like hearing about on the west side of the state. I'm trying to find some real life people that I can talk to because I'm putting together information for the channel that I need for something I'm working on. So let me know. Here's my email address in the chat. And I'd also done a video asking about that too. And I did have a couple of you guys respond, which I really appreciate. And I have the stories that you guys told. I'm working on stuff. If that makes any sense. All right. Let me check here real quick. See what you guys are up to. And yeah, sorry to leave you guys with a cliffhanger. I'm just kind of telling you where I'm at with this Michigan House Journal 90. These gun control bills that you would normally think would have been signed into law already or public act by the governor. I guess they haven't been. So yeah, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm going back to Lansing for many reasons this coming up week. And then for sure on the 28th. And then maybe even in the meantime, I was supposed to be in Lansing a couple days ago. I wanted to meet up with Marcy, but we're going to do something remote because I want to talk to you guys about the event she's doing. But then all of a sudden, vehicle breakdown. I was doing a small repair. And when I went to do that, which was successful, I found something worse and then had to salt the next morning, both. So it ends up being one of those things. So sometimes stuff happens, but I'm definitely planning on going there to work on several things. Let's see here. Too Tall Sale. There's a couple ways to read your name. Is it just the west side of the state? Right now, I'm focusing on that. There's many infringements and things that are happening on the east side of the state as well. So no, that's not the only place stuff's happening. I'm trying to gather information right now from the west side of the state, pursuant to some content and some information I'm working on for the channel. Including content and including for other reasons, quite frankly, too. That the channel needs that information to help out with what I'm working on. Well, if you buy a handgun in the state of Michigan, for sure. In other cases, a long gun as well. But even at a gun shop, in many cases, they're having people you have to get the purchase permit first without a CPL. Yeah. Good night, Barney Brady. Take it easy, man. Good night, Grizzly Man. Good night, Chanzig. Crazy Heathen. We've talked, Crazy Heathen. You know a little bit about what I'm working on over there on your side of the state. Look, the west side of the state's a pretty good part of the state. Don't think I'm bashing on you guys. Trust me. The west side of the state, for the most part, but not always. There's some big cities over there that are not so good as far as for the Second Amendment. But generally speaking, the west side of the state's more conservative than the east side. And I say generally speaking. That's true. And there are some exceptions in both cases, right? So, but I've heard about some particulars going on over on the west side of the state that's not so good. You know what I mean? Not so good. Jane Locke, we may very well end up doing that. So I will talk to you in the meantime. And look, I'd like to see you guys there. The group's called Women for Gun Rights. Go check out the community tab. This is not an event just for women, though. Make no mistake. What Marcy and her girly girls are doing, I'm actually all for it. And I like all that. I mean, they can do their thing. That's awesome. But then there's things we do together, and I really like what they're doing. So I probably wouldn't go to like, this is what I mean by that. And I meant girly girls as like you shoot like a girl. No, I'm just messing with you guys. But anyways, I probably wouldn't go to like an all women's training class. You know what I mean? I like women, but I wouldn't want to be like hanging out with a whole room full of chicks like all day, all the time or anything. But at the same time, I do love that there's a Women for Gun Rights group. I like everything about it. And also, this is an area, though, where we need guys and gals there, because the other side, they do go show up. They fill that gallery up with those red shirts. Red shirt means anti-gun, all right? And these are like a light teal shirt. And, yeah, go check out the flyer. Check out their website. It doesn't really cost anything. If you go to the reception, they're just asking for like $10, but that includes a t-shirt in your size. And if you've ever bought a shirt before, the shirt probably costs more than that, in my opinion. So there you go. Chanzik says, do you mean actual girls? Oh boy. I don't think everyone wants to hear me talk about my Supreme Court justice thing again, but we'll talk about the Supreme Court justice. What's a woman? Nobody knows. You remember her? The Supreme Court justice. Nobody knows. I don't know. Well, hold on, Dan Johnson. What's happening, man? How you doing? We're the real side of Michigan. But you don't possibly believe the whole east side of Michigan's all Detroit, do you? I don't think so. I don't think so. No, man, I didn't take any offense at all. Too tall sale, I did not take any offense. I'm working on some particular things, different aspects of stuff that I'm working on right now. And some things in general I'm aware of, but certain things I'm trying to kind of hone in on, if that makes any sense whatsoever, right? What's happening, Harry Grimley? Good night, man. Nice to see you. And thanks, Pillbox. I did see that out of the corner of my eye earlier. I just didn't say anything because I was kind of off in my little train of thought. But thanks for confirming that is the real Jane Locke. Because we can't have any imposters, right, crazy heathen? People have done this. It's true, man. They've come in here before and kind of like, they'll kind of copycat. They've been known to come in and copycat some people's avatars, and they'll change the spelling just a little bit, right? So I had to have Pillbox Bunker run some authentication, because Jane Locke, I say this too, and I mean it with all of you guys, but when I say, look, Jane Locke's my friend, she is my actual friend, and if she had an impersonator, I definitely need to give her a call and let her know. So thank you for the authentication, Pillbox Bunker. I appreciate you, man. Bill Alexander, what's happening, dude? Oh, yeah. All right. What's happening, Jason? Jason Maseko? Yeah, good night, man. And stay frosty as well. Man, lots of good people were in the chat tonight. Mike McClune? Good night, Mike. Hopefully some of these guys are still around to hear me say good night. Because I feel bad a lot of nights. What's up, Mr. C? How you doing, man? I read all the chat afterwards. I'm like, oh, shoot, I didn't get to say hi to that one or that one or that one. You know, what's up, John Q. Public? How you doing, man? Your name's very John Q. Public-ish, but I've never doubted that you're a real person for 1 minute. Never, never, never. What I meant by like Jane Locke is like I've actually like been to her house and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Oh, and go Lions. Yeah, Lions. They're pretty good, right? What's up? What's up, Lyle Smith? Nice to see you. And with that, I am out of here, and I will see you all later. All right, thanks for watching, and have a good one. Good night, Gort. Nice to see you, man. I'll see Gort and some of you guys hopefully tomorrow night on Locals, actually. So make sure you check that out. Links in the description.